I'm Cook County Board President Todd Stroger, and Taped with Rabbi Doug is next.
We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug on your TV tonight.
But Daddy, I want to watch Monday Night Football.
Forget about Monday Night Football. There's no other thing we're gonna watch on Monday but Rabbi Doug. Yeah, Rabbi Doug on TV tonight. We're going to see Rabbi Doug. Oh, everybody talk about Doug.
Shalom and welcome to Taped with Rabbi Doug. I'm here with Cook County Board President Todd Stroger. President, welcome to the show. And Mr. President, tell me, just for our viewers, your name is certainly familiar. Your father's name is a legend, and Cook County Hospital is now named after your father. Tell me, how long have now you been in office?
I've been in office for, 2.5 years now.
And as I mentioned to you, my very, very close friend growing up, his grandfather was Jacob Arvey, who is the legendary former president of the Cook County Board. Tell me what, in general, for our viewers, because I think not everybody knows, what does the president of the Cook County Board oversee besides Cook County taxes?
Yeah, that seems to be the only thing people actually know. But the county board, we oversee a lot of things. We oversee highways, county highways, of course. We oversee animal control. So that's when people have possums and raccoons and things. We'll go out and get those. We oversee your death certificates, your birth certificates, when you record your property. The sheriff, when the sheriff has many different components. He has sheriffs in the courtroom. He has sheriffs out in the streets. He has sheriffs doing investigations. People don't know that all the municipalities, and there's 129 of them, the sheriff works with all of them when they have tough problems. Like, you may have a police force of maybe 20. The sheriff helps complement that by bringing in investigators, doing that little things that the people on the streets can't do every day. And then we also have our court system, and we see 500,000 court cases a year. So we do a lot of things, and a lot of things that people kind of take for granted. They just don't know what's the county.
Okay, so let me ask you a couple of questions, because these are things that come to mind. Let's avoid taxes right now.
Okay.
The first one is the Cook County Forest Preserve District. Now, there is talk of the Cook County Forest Preserve District dismantling the sheriff's force and the Cook County Sheriff taking over that. What's happening with that right now? Because that's been in the news often.
Yes, well, the Forest Preserve is really a separate entity from county government. So we are the commissioners there, but we wear a different hat. So that issue came up where the sheriff would take over the Forest Preserve District and his sheriffs would patrol. But I think that people have come to the conclusion that the Forest Preserve Police do more than just patrol. They're also conservation officers. Their presence is only in the Forest Preserve District. They don't have to worry about going out in the neighborhoods. And I think that has been taken off the shelf.
Okay, good. I think people want to know about that, so that's a great answer, and I think this may be the first time that people are clear on that, because it's been stated clearly. Let me go to the next thing. Just this past week in the newspapers, it reported that you have called for a hiring freeze, but it's not clear what that hiring freeze is. Is it a hiring freeze within the Cook County government? Is it a hiring freeze within your office and administration? What is the hiring freeze that you've called for, and how will it affect finances in that way?
Sure, Rabbi. The hiring freeze affects the whole county. So in the county, we have 9 other elected offices. And in those offices, there's 9 different men and women. So when I say a hiring freeze, they all have to come before the board, and that's what we're going to ask them, to come before the board and say, I need to hire someone because of this spot where we cannot function without them. And if they cannot come and prove that, then the board can say, no, we're not going to hire them. So the hiring freeze really affects everyone except for the hospitals, because they hire doctors and nurses. And it doesn't affect the Department of Corrections, where the jail system, because we have to have so many correctional officers.
Sure. Well, let me go back and just ask you, your first step into politics was, besides your father's being in politics, was being appointed as an alderman. Is that correct?
No, actually, I was a state representative for 9 years.
Before you were an alderman?
Yes.
Oh, see, I didn't even know that. So how did you first get into politics yourself? What was your first interest and step into politics?
Well, I've been involved in politics all my life because of my father, of course, and he was elected in 1970. So when our state representative ran for state senator, I asked if I could run for that spot, and I went out and worked our area. I lived right in the middle of the district, so I talked to the people I knew. Then I went over to the east and went to the west, and I was able to get enough votes to win and run, I guess, for 5 more terms, and was successful.
Great. Well, we're here on Taped with Rabbi Doug. I'm here with Cook County Board President Todd Stroger, and he is going to be speaking today at Or Menorah in Chicago to the Jewish community. And stay with us. We'll be right back here on Taped with Rabbi Doug. Todd H. Stroger was elected Cook County's 34th president in November of 2006 and sworn in a month later. In the years since he won this office, he has sponsored and supported a series of important reforms and innovations that have improved accountability, transparency, and efficiency in the Cook County government. Reform initiatives include President Stroger's appointment in November 2008 of the county's first truly independent Inspector General, who for the first time in history has both the funding and the procedural power to go after concerns about corruption and wrongdoing. Next, he appointed a new Director of Human Resources Operations after a nationwide search designed to ensure that the best possible talent was hired. President Stroger moved to place the county's juvenile temporary detention center under the auspices of the Chief Judge's office as part of a long-term effort to reform operations and conditions in that facility. In addition, he and the county board also appointed a new oversight board for the county's 3 hospitals and extensive ambulatory and public health clinic system. Among other reforms and initiatives that President Stroger supported are the 2007 revision of the county's purchasing ordinance and procedures, an effort that has improved public accountability, fiscal oversight, and participation from vendors throughout the county, and the move to begin the use performance-based budgeting as a way to ensure that county departments and agencies use revenue as efficiently as possible, and I hope they're really working on that right now with the way things are. President Stroger brings more than 20 years of experience in the public sector and public and private finance to his job. He began his career as a public service in the office of the Chief Judge of Cook County, where he served as jury supervisor for Cook County Jury Commissioner. Later, he worked as administrator of Chicago Park District and left the Park District to work in the private sector as an investment banker. In 1992, he ran and was elected Illinois State Representative, which he was just telling me privately, which was his first real political position. His legislative focus included initiatives to control taxes, reduce spending, and provide state residents with access to affordable health care and reform in state government. He also sponsored a number of initiatives key specifically to environmental concerns, including a bill to test more extensively in public schools for radon and a bill to facilitate safe disposal of fluorescent lights. In 2001, Mayor Richard Daley of Chicago appointed him to fill the office of the late Alderman Lorraine Dixon, and he became alderman. He was instrumental as an alderman in bringing mixed income and affordable housing initiatives to the community, along with much-needed commercial development projects and beautification efforts. He supported the push to pass living wage legislation for a big-box retailer, and many of them actually in legislation to ban smoking in public establishments over a graduated period. President Stroger is a project with a long tradition of public service. His father, as everyone knows, John H. Stroger Jr. of blessed memory, served as president of the Cook County Board of Commissioners for 3 terms, and for more than 3 decades as county commissioner, who he advocated tirelessly to address the issues of social and economic inequity in Cook County, and in particular to provide quality, affordable health care to the poor, uninsured, and undeserved residents of Cook County. It's my great pleasure to introduce to you now, to share some words with us, and then to take questions in an open forum, the Cook County Board President, Todd Stroger.
Thank you, Rabbi, and I'm happy to be here at Or Menorah. The first thing I'd like to say is that they always tell you get into a fight with people who buy ink by the ton. Now, unfortunately, I'm in the fight with the newspapers, actually the Sun-Times and the Tribune, over not really how the county is run, but more of who I am. So this is the kind of fight I could never truly win, because what happens is we do things in the county, and I think we've done a lot of good things, but we don't get the press for it. So at the beginning of my term, which started in December of '06, it was Stroger. Stroger is hired. Well, I'll start with the first really bad article. Carol Marine, Friends and Family, and she wrote, Stroger has hired these 10 people, and she pointed out he hired this guy because he knows somebody in the 19th Ward. He hired this guy because he's friends with somebody else. He hired this guy because he went to school with them 25 years ago. Then she put the salaries and said, this is what they think. Shouldn't we all be mad at Stroger? And the rest of the papers picked up on that and they said, yeah, we should be mad at him. So as the county was running and I was trying to administer, I spent the first year and a half talking about that Carol Marine article. And actually, I still talk about that article. People still ask me questions about that. But there has been such a bigger picture in the county, things that have gone on. I'll tell you a little bit about the county, because what I find is a lot of people don't really know county government. So in county government, we have 17 commissioners, and they're elected by separate districts. Then we have the president. The president is elected countywide. And then we also have 9 separate offices. And these men and women run their own office. So we have the sheriff, we have the state's attorney, we have the clerk of the circuit court, we have the clerk, the recorder of deeds, the treasurer, the assessor, the 3 board of review commissioners, and I'm sure there's somebody I just missed there. That would sound like 8 officers. No, the public defender is actually not elected. The public defender is someone who's appointed. We just actually appointed a new one. He'll serve a 6-year term, but he has a pretty big office. I'm glad you mentioned him, because even though he's not elected, he has a lot of lawyers underneath him that help really people who are in our court system. So I think I've gotten all of them there. But all those elected offices have their own budgets. And when we start the budget process, and it should start before December of every year, probably to try to get things going by at least October, we work with the elected official, and we see what they have in their office today. And for the last 3 budgets, we asked them, all right, what can you change in your office? How can we make this more efficient? How can we make it work better with fewer people? So the first year, I came in, we had a $500,000 deficit. And you may ask, how do you get to a number of that size? Well, in October of that year, the board voted to increase the cost of living adjustments for the workers. So really what we're saying is they voted to add about $8 million into the budget. Now, that did not come with a revenue stream. So we already knew that every year we have $80 million tacked on to the budget. So we worked on this. We said there is no one who wants taxes. Everyone wants to see what we can do with the budget first. So we made a 17% cut across the board. Everybody had to take 17% out. And it hurt. It wasn't easy. Especially for the hospital system, where they had to figure out, now, what services are we going to provide? What can't we provide? And will we stop doing some things here so we can do things over here? And move everyone over to this file.
You're watching Taped with Rabbi Doug. We're here with President Todd Stroger of the Cook County Board, and we'll be right back.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
In these turbulent times, let us not erode our liberties, for they make America a beacon of hope for all to see.
Let it shine.
I'm Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky, and you're watching Taped with Rabbi Doug.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I'm an American.
I am an American.
I'm an American.
I am 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 an American.
I'm an American.
I am an American.
I
am
An American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I am American.
I am America.
I'm an American.
I'm an American.
I'm an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I'm an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
Hi, I'm Alderman Bernie Stone. You're watching Taped with Rabbi Doug.
That's really why I'm here today. It's because the county government affects you in a great way. And unfortunately, the county is the type of government that you don't necessarily want to be in, because no one wants to go to the Department of Corrections. Generally, you hope you don't go through the court system at all, and you hope you're not going to one of the hospitals. But we are there, and we are there to help people. And when we think of our hospital system, there are 1 million visits in our hospital system a year. And in those 1 million visits, more than 80% of our clients have jobs. But there are people who, if you go to the Pancake House, the people who are serving you, they may go through our hospital system. They have a job, they make a wage, but they don't have enough money to get Blue Cross and Blue Shield. But they make too much money to qualify for Medicaid. So they have to come to our system. And when we think of public health, we have to remember, if those people get sick and they have nowhere to go, that doesn't mean they're not coming to work. So when they come to work sick, everybody else in the establishment has a chance to become sick too. So we're really talking about the public health and safety of our whole community. And that is one of the reasons why it's so important. And as I tell people, if it's not us, then it won't be anybody. The other hospitals will not be able to take that kind of load. The small hospitals will probably see like 5 or 6% of what we call self-pay. Self-pay means you don't have any money. We see about 57%. So if we threw that out to the rest of the hospitals, a lot of those hospitals would just fall because they could not take a kind of hit like that where no one is paying for services. So I believe that's all I can tell you about the county. It's probably a little more about the county, but that's all I can think of right now. And as I always say, questions really are the best thing because that's when you find out what's on people's minds.
So I want to start out with questions that have been given to me by more than one person before we started. So the first question is, obviously the expenses are great as you mentioned and the needs for the taxes, but why is it that we in Cook County have a higher sales tax in the Chicago area than New York City and their surrounding counties, than Los Angeles County, when they are bigger than us and offer similar services? Why are we, who are smaller, having larger sales taxes than all those other places and similar places? So that's a question that many people have asked.
Certainly. When you look at the sales tax, but for one thing, when people say we have the highest sales tax in the nation, they're really talking about a certain area around the city. That's our central business district, which has a higher rate because it not only just has the sales tax that you pay here, there's also I guess it would be a business district tax that is higher, that goes for certain functions to make sure the business district is taken care of in a certain way. But the reason why these other areas, New York and Los Angeles, don't have a higher sales tax, is because they have other taxes. I mean, New York City has an income tax. The city itself has an income tax. And when you look at our tax structure, and I'm talking about the county, you'll find we don't have a lot of taxes. We have an amusement tax, and we have a cigarette tax. We have a tax for when you buy cars outside of the county. But when you look at the whole structure, we are not a big chunk of what you pay in taxes. So, yes, LA County has 9 million people, but they find other ways to get money. New York has, I don't know how many people in New York, so it's huge, but when you put all those boroughs together, and boroughs are like counties, they have different revenue streams to get taxes. So the county does not really ask for a lot. And when you look at this tax structure, the state asks for 6.25 cents. So they get 6 1/4 of every dollar in the sales tax. So after that, we have us at our 1.75, 1 3/4 cents of every dollar. City of Chicago, if you go there, they have 1.25%. But every municipality in the county has the ability to have a sales tax. So it's all over the board. So you can go to Cicero and they'll have a 2-cent sales tax for their town. But if you go to another town, they may have 1/4 cent. So all these things add up. But the one thing that all the municipalities don't have is the responsibility that the county has. And that is, and I didn't mention this part, is that we have a responsibility to work with all 129 municipalities. When they need certain things, we are supposed to be there to give them that technical support, professional support that they cannot afford on their own. So if you live in a municipality, a village, a city of 30,000, you have certain things like the police department, but your police department can only do so much for you. So let's say when there was at Browns, Palatine, when they had that tragedy out there, they had to call in Cook County Sheriff to help them with that process because they've never handled anything like this. They don't have the expertise. So the sheriff comes in, he brings in his detectives, and they work on it. Same thing happened when we had the tragedy out in the border, I think it was Tinley, with Will County. They had to call the sheriff in to give them the expertise. So those are some of the things that the county does. We bring expertise to the municipalities. And when we go out to the farther south suburbs, which have very tough problems, they don't have a lot of industry or commercial, so they depend on the county even more because they just don't have any money to bring in professionals to do things. Our sheriff's department literally covers the Fort Heights police station because they can't afford to pay their officers. They pay their officers, I believe it's $8 to $10 an hour. They can drive 2 towns over and get something like $20 an hour. So they leave immediately. As soon as the city pays for them to take the test, they stay there a couple of months and they go to someplace else. So now our sheriff takes over that. So we do that not only in that, but in other things like with the roads. Our highway engineers are there to make sure that when roads need to be done, they give the technical support. The city may actually do the road itself, but our engineers do all the technical services.
Okay, I'm going to follow up with that, and you don't have to. I'm not sure I heard you answer why aren't we looking at the model of New York or Los Angeles County, so we don't have to have our sales taxes so high. And then the second thing is the community question I want to bring up, which is the second question, which was asked by a number of people, is if our property values in this community, in the Jewish community of West Rogers Park, Peterson Park, Skokie, if our property values have dropped, which they have immensely from 5 years ago, we've been reevaluating since. Why have our taxes gone up when our property values have dropped? So those are that was the other good one.
Well, I don't know a lot about LA County, so I'll stay away from it. But I do know that in New York, is that they have a lot of different taxes. And that is the difference between us and them. They supplement themselves in a lot of different ways that we don't even look at, and we're not going to look at. So the difference lies not in just the sales tax, it's in how many taxing bodies they have. And if you've ever been to New York and look at anything about their government, they have a ton of different ways they tax people. But when you look at the county, and oh man, I wish I had one of those gigantic tax bills that we're trying to put together. When you look at your tax bill, you'll find that the majority of your property taxes go to your school district. So that's probably somewhere between 60 and 65%. The percentage in your county property taxes might be somewhere from 6 to 9%, depending on where you live. But the county hasn't raised their property taxes in 14 years. And most people think every time they get a tax bill that's gone up that, uh-oh, the county's done it to me again. No, we asked for $720 million from the tax levy for the last 14 years. And it hasn't changed. So when you talk about their property value, that really will go to the assessor and the board of review. And the board of review will come right out here. I can get them to come out in a heartbeat to talk to everyone, show them the process where you can ask that your property value be looked at. And they actually expect just about every resident in the whole county to come through and say, look, this is wrong. We don't have the same values that we had 3 years ago. So we can do that. We can make sure that your area can have a meeting with them, and I'm sure that you'll find that probably 95 to 98% will come back with a determination that you do need some kind of refund. But I guess the answer to the other large municipalities is we just don't tax in the same fashion, and we're not asking for the same things that they're asking for. So when you really look at us, you find that and we've done an analysis, every county resident spends less per resident to our taxing than the county. I'm just talking about the county itself, Cook County, not your whole property tax bill, but just to the county itself. You spend less to the county than they do in New York and California.
Mr. President, I want to thank you so much for being on the show. President Todd Stroger of the Cook County Board. Remember, you can see our website at www.tvrabbi.com, where you can also see our shows on the web. And if you want to email me, and I'll be happy to send it on to President Stroger's people, and hopefully you'll get an answer from them. That is info@tvrabbi.com. I want to thank you again, President Todd Stroger, for being on the show. I want to thank all of you for being with us. Hope to see you next time right here on Tape with Rabbi Doug. Shalom, everyone.
And I'm talking about Rabbi Doug. Talking about Rabbi Doug. Talking about Rabbi Doug on your TV show. Well, he's the rabbi for me. Anytime you need. You're gonna get married or you're gonna die. You're gonna see Rabbi Doug. Gonna see Rabbi Doug. Gonna see Rabbi Doug. Gonna see Rabbi Doug on the TV tonight.